Today we're going to be unboxing a power supply from Corsair's Builder series, which I have never had a look at in the past. This is the CX430, and by Builder series, what I'm assuming they mean is that it is ideal for building a system around it, okay? So it's a no frills, no gimmicks, just straight, this is a decent power supply, go ahead and use it to power a system that you need to run for a long time sort of approach to things. So let's see what Corsair has to say for themselves on the back. It is ideal for home and office use, okay? And worry-free compatibility for your home desktop, for your upgrading, all that good stuff. Quick start guide, Builder series with more than 15 years of building enthusiasm. It's a single rail power supply, which is pretty nice to see. Because at the 430 watt range, you do tend to start seeing dual rail power supplies. Now, while I'm not a huge fan of a single rail power supply all the way up into like the kilowatt ranges, I do like to see single watt power supplies on the low end units. And the reason for that is because a low end unit with two split 12 volt rails with a very low overall rating on the 12 volts overall, low overall rating on overall. Yeah, with a low overall rating on the 12 volt rails, as soon as you split them, you're going to run into trouble where if you have even like a decent graphics card or you want to put like a high-end graphics card in it, even though the 430 watt would be enough to power it, sometimes you might run into trouble where one of the rails is getting overloaded. So that was a long and drawn-out way of saying I'm really glad to see it has a single 12 volt rail. In here we find some quick start guide-ish type stuff, and that's pretty much it. And then yeah, this is pretty much no frills, although they do include sleeve cables, which is really nice to see on a value unit like this. We've got a power cord, we've got some do not eat, presumably some screws. Yeah, we've got screws and even some zip ties. So 4 screws to affix to the case, zip ties, as well as a powered by Corsair sticker in there. So that's pretty nice. And then here we'll untether the cables and find out exactly what kind of connections we have, because if you're talking about a power supply that's just kind of for your value builder, they're going to be concerned with things like, well, exactly what can I hook up to this thing? As you can see right away, it's quite small. So even though it does have a 120 millimeter fan, it still even looks kind of like it looks even more huge than normal on this particular unit because it's actually shorter than it is wide. Most power supplies are sort of more square. So you can see right here the warranty is void if you remove this sticker and open up the casing. You should never open up a power supply unless you are a qualified professional. Here we see some Corsair branding on the side. The general specs of the PSU itself are here. So we've got 28 amps on the single 12 volt rail. It's capable of providing 336 watts of the overall 430 watts that this power supply can support. Now you see high-end systems or high-end power supplies that really lean heavily towards the 12 volt rail where they'll be able to provide almost their entire power through the 12 volt rail. That kind of thing is not really necessary on a low-end PSU like this because you're not going to be running high-end graphics cards, which are really the ones that suck up a lot of 12 volt juice. So on the back we find a power switch as well as a power plug. You can see inside some of the coils, some of the heat sinks, all of that good stuff. Actually, if I flip it over this way, you'll be able to see inside a lot better. Yeah, that's way better. Okay, so let's have a look at what connectors we have on this guy. First of all, we have your standard 24-pin power connector. We do have a breakaway 4-pin here, so you can plug it into a 20-pin board, whether you're using an ITX board or an older board, because that's really what this is targeted at. If you have an older system, you need to replace the power supply, you want something good and reliable, you go with something like this. Here is a, yes, success. We have a 4+4 pin, so that's an 8-pin or a 4-pin power connector for the motherboard. And then we have a single PCI Express, and this is kind of nice to see. Look at that, we've got a PCI Express 6+2. So not only can you power a single mid-range graphics card, if they ever do change the standard to a single 8-pin on like mid-range graphics cards, we're going to be ready for that as well. Now in terms of other connectors, we've got, so we have 3 Molex 4-pins, as well as 1 floppy connector. And then on 2 separate cables, and this is smart because most of the time when you're building a new system, you're going to have your optical drive somewhere, and then your hard drive's like kind of somewhere else. So this allows you to plug in 2 optical drives together and then 2 hard drives together, which is really, on like a 430 watt powered system, going to be pretty much all you're going to see. So thank you for checking out my unboxing of the CX430. CX430. Don't forget to subscribe to Linus Tech Tips. And that's it. This whole time I was trying to find the warranty for the thing because, I mean, Corsair's big thing with their power supplies is they're super reliable. They have their legendary customer and technical support, which I can personally vouch for because I have used it. Anyway, this particular unit, unlike the high-end units, which carry 5 and even 7-year warranties, has a 2-year warranty. So that was just something I wanted to add.